Morning, good afternoon, and good evening around the world to our CA Plex and TUI community. This is our Q2 2026 webcast for the entire worldwide community. I'm Mark O'Brien, and I'm going to be the MC here for the beginning of our activities today. A lot of things going on. We have a total of 4 lightning talks. But before we get to that, we're bringing you up to date on the upcoming conference in Nashville, and each of our speakers has got topics that are related and relevant to that. If you've been on here before, you know that we usually start things off with a poll question, and today's poll question is going to be: did you attend the Broadcom CA Plex or CA2E office hours yesterday? It was at 10 a.m. in Central. Number of customers, and some people got the email from Broadcom, and a lot of people didn't. But anyway, we tried to push it around and see what we had. And so this is, just let people vote a little bit longer here. So that seems about right, because about half, slightly more than half, were aware they had received some communication from Broadcom. I think it was started on the 7th or 8th of April, indicating that yesterday, basically 24 hours ago, was going to be the office hours. Anyways, that's interesting that a number of you didn't, and it was the same thing even within our company, and talking to some of the sponsors too. Some people heard about it, and a lot of people hadn't. So anyway, so next slide. Thank you for sharing that information, Summer. So as I said, I'm Mark O'Brien, in charge of sponsorship for the conference, and I'm joined here by Roger Griffith, who's our user community president and coordinator for the conference as well too. In addition to the webinar speakers, we have 4 lightning talk speakers, and they are as follows. We have John Rhodes, CTO and Managing Director at CA First, Casey Hawes and ANI Solutions, Stuart Milligan from Mid-Range Dynamics Solution Architect, and Dmitry Kuznetsov, Programmers IO Chief Product Officer. So next slide here would be our sponsors. So we've got some really good returning solid sponsors, as well as some new ones here. But of course, CA First, ANI, Broadcom, a long time. Mid-Range Dynamics has been before, and they're stepping up very nicely, as well as Programmers.ai as well too. I have a couple other sponsors I'm still working on, and I'll let you know as soon as we have them centered into the fold as well too. So as I mentioned, today's announcements I'm going to talk a little bit about the Broadcom. A gentleman named Praveen Kumar Gudapalli was the presenter. He spent the whole hour talking. He did talk pretty quickly and really covered a lot of ground. It was really quite surprising to see the amount of information that was relayed and conveyed to us. And then following that, I'll talk briefly about that, and then Roger will talk about the conference itself, what's going on day by day, and loads of activities. The only conference that's totally focused on Plex and TUI software modeling tools and content, and a lot of IBMI activities and content as well. And then some will be talking about the our Clarion Hotel and other accommodations for that. And then sponsored by, this will be followed by the 4 lightning talks. CA First talking about Plex modernization in action, ANI, about scaling agentic AI. Mid-Range Dynamics is talking about IBMI and DevOps specifically. And then Programmers, no change data capture from Dmitry. So as I mentioned, I just want to show you what's going on here. They do not have a conference yet. It was Praveen indicated that within the next 5 to 7 days, they would have it edited and have it out to everybody, as well as a copy of the slides. But this is, yes, I know, rub your eyes. This is the CA2E roadmap through 2029, showing up to plan for 2029, and 8, 9, and 10 in the intervening years, and 8 actually coming up later this year. And then the next slide is the CA Plex roadmap. Again, the same thing. and 7.32. A year later, 7.33 and 28, and 7.34 and 2029. They did say that there would be beta programs available in some cases for some of these releases, and they seem to be interested in getting feedback and getting comments. I did submit a question about PL1 going forward, and they didn't get a chance to answer that, but I did see in the chat box that things were being answered. So very, very good. Anyway, really good stuff. I'm going to turn it over to Roger, who's going to tell you all the exciting things that are going on throughout the 3 days of the 15th Plex conference, Plex and TUI conference. Take it away, Roger.
Thank you, Mark. We have been working so hard on putting this conference together, and we really are confident that this is going to be one of our best conferences ever. So we want you to get ready for 3 days of rootin' tootin' education, fun, fellowship, adventure in Nashville, Tennessee. You can see by the pictures of this place, this is going to be a fun place to go. I've never been there myself, and my wife and I are coming, and we are super excited there and be a part of this amazing conference that we have so hard on. You're going to see AI deep dives, modernization, TUI and Plex, very similar to what we've done in the past, helping the community get the most out of these tools that we love and use on a daily basis. The tracks are a little bit different this year. We have 3 tracks, of course, and one track is Plex and TUI. So you're going to see a lot of content that's relevant to both of these communities here. There's a technology track and a modernization track. So I think there's going to be something for everyone. You're going to have dinner. Lunch and dinner is going to be provided to you. There's going to be some amazing entertainment. You might be a part of some line dancing. Oh my God, will that be outrageously fun? And a cooking demonstration that I think everyone's going to really enjoy. We can go to the next slide. So day 1 starts on Monday, and I'm not going to go through all the detail, but basically 11 to 12 is registration, and then at noon we start with lunch and some AI deep dives from our sponsors and IBM. At 5:15 to 6, there's going to be an amazing vendor AI roundtable that you're going to want to be a part of. And then 6:30 to 8:30 is an opening reception at the hotel, and there will be dinner and a cooking demonstration that you're going to want to be a part of. So that's Monday, basically a half day. Our next slide, day 2 is on Tuesday. This is a full day. We're going to 9 o'clock, we're going to have a customer roundtable. 9 to noon, there's going to be, we're going to start with our sessions. And so we've basically got our sessions going on throughout the day. And then at 6:30 to 8:30, there's going to be another special event. And yes, you might see some line dancing or be involved in some line dancing, but we're going to just have some really good old fun in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's really something that's going to be unlike you will see anywhere but Nashville, Tennessee. So I hope you'll come for this. Go to our next slide. So day 3 is basically a half day. We're going to start this thing with more hands-on, we call it a hackathon and training session. It's really going to be something I think you're going to really enjoy. And that basically takes us to noon. And then we're going to have a box lunch and farewell with some awards for best session award winners. So you'll definitely want to be a part of all that. And then we're going to turn you loose at 1:30, and we can all start heading home. I just want to mention again that some of the fun stuff that we're offering, like we've done in the past few sessions, is the boot camp. Okay, so this is something where if you've got some new users or maybe someone that just needs a refresher, please be a part of our boot camp experience. It runs in parallel with the conference, and I think it's a great value. It's included as part of the conference fees. So definitely bring all of your new users and people that really just need a brush up to the conference and have them sign up for the boot camp. So the super early bird pricing, which is in effect right now, it ends May 25th. Okay, $299 in person. That early bird, so that's the super early bird pricing. Then the early bird pricing ends July 31st, and so it's $399. And then we have a buy 3 get 1 free. So That's another great opportunity for those of you who want to bring 4 or more people. And we have a companion pass. So for $99, you get full access to the sessions and special events and meals and all this type of things. So it's a tremendous value. My wife will be there. It's going to be super fun. She's never been to a conference before, and she's come with me to Nashville for this one. So please go to our website at plex2e.com and get registered for this conference. Get your hotel. And speaking of hotel, I'm going to turn it over to Summer, who's going to talk about the logistics.
Hi, everyone. As you know, that Nashville is a totally new location for the conference, and it's at the Cambria Hotel. It's two away from Broadway, and we just want to go down there and experience the energy to music, live music, dining in a vibrant nightlife. And while we're enjoying the amenities, we also have 2 special events, as Roger said, our cooking show and line dancing. And then the dates for that from August 31st to the 2nd of September. And we have room block, and the rate is $229 per night. So you should the hotel link is on the Plex TV website. If you have a problem booking, you can always reach out to me or also send an email to info@plextv.com. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Back to you, Mark.
Did we lose Mark?
We've lost Mark.
Uh-oh. So John, can you take this full
Sorry about
question?
that. I get the double mute on the microphone problem. Yes. So, are you planning on attending the conference? People haven't voted yet. So, here we go. You get some maybes. We're hoping to lower these maybes.
We got to get rid of the no's. We just want everyone clicking on the yes option.
I know I'm scheduling conflicts and other things too. End of the summer in the Northern Hemisphere, but you can attend virtually. And we even have some technical people that are considering on doing that too, that they can't be there live, but they would like to do a remote technical session as well too. So nice to see them, see the virtual. Roger and I will tell you, it's not quite as good. It's just not the same as being there live, but better because there's just so many conversations that take place afterwards of people discussing the content and sharing and getting more insight as to what people, what their colleagues are doing and what has worked and what hasn't. So let's end the poll. Really good. Thank you very much for participating in that. And now let's go to our lightning talks. Our first lightning talk speaker is going to be John Rhodes, CTO. And as always, please type your captions in the set. I'm looking at the setup. It's a little bit different than it used to be, but anyway, there's a chat box in the console here, and then we'll attend those as time permits. We'll get as many as we can. If not, we'll answer them following the webcast. So here's our first lightning talk, and John Rhodes, CTO of CM First Group.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mark. So yeah, I'm going to talk about what we're doing with CM First Group around supporting 2E and Plex modernization. We have a lot of new developments, actually. So you'll see a lot of this at the conference if you come. And a little about the company. You guys know who we are, so I'm not going to go into that. But we're all around building tools and technology to support people that have Plex and 2E and other legacy languages. So let's look at where we are with our technology. We're trying to support 3 major use cases for people, okay? They want to do different things on modernization of their Plex and 2E apps. Some people just want to understand what they have in detail. Maybe they just want to get some ideas of what's in the system because people have retired, or it could be also that plan to rewrite part of it, or maybe put part of it in a package and making sure you have all the business rules covered that are in your Plex and 2E app. So yeah, you can do that by hand, but it's very laborious. It's super tedious to go in the green screens and figure out what's going on and document it by hand. And even with AI doesn't do a great job on the source code for sure. And so what we do is, and I'll talk about it, we provide the action diagram and your relations and everything else to an AI-assisted process that puts out some really good documentation that can be used for whatever purpose you want to use it for. We not only can analyze program by program, but also do an entire subsystem as a holistic set of documentation and have that live that it can be updated as often as you want. Level of use case. Second level is people are trying to do maybe a partial rewrite where They want to expose what they have in Plex and 2E as a web service, and they want maybe to develop some new web screens or integrate with different various systems at an API level. So we support generating automatically repository type access to the database where you can use standard API methods to get and put data directly to the tables involved, but also to go at the functionality too. So we can convert or create a copy of what you have in Plex or 2E, retrieve objects, change objects, all the database access functions don't have screens, and expose those as APIs that can then be called by your Java or .NET developers outside of Plex. Okay, and that can be synced up with what you have in Plex automatically. And then third option is some people are wanting to replatform 2E and they want an entire application to move, or they want the entire application to be implemented in Java. So we also support that. So some important things about how we do it is you can use your Plex 2E application concurrently with your modernizing. It's not exclusive. It has uses the same database, does not invalidate the code, and you can generate new code from your model at any time that you want. Have friendly name support, so we get away from the short cryptic IBMI names that are in the generated code. And we are supporting both .NET and Java as a target, and the architecture has no runtimes, and it's all standard. Just showing a diagram of what we're doing. So we take in the source, okay, and that's in the form of, if you're using the 2E model, or you're using Plex, it'll be the Plex model, or even Lanza, and also all the generated source or hand-coded source you have. So the RPG, the COBOL, JCL, CL, CL, and IBMI. And also we get the catalog and schema directly from DB2, so we have all that information. And that's combined with other things you may have. Maybe you have other documentation you want to consider as part of a documentation effort. And that's put into a knowledge graph, CM Evolve IT. Okay, and then from there you can do analysis and transformation and all things I was talking about in the previous slide. And somewhat new is we also provide an MCP server to CM Evolve IT and have direct support for agentic platforms like Claude Code or Codex. And then more recently been working with Scout, which you'll hear about in the next presentation, I think, so that if you want to use an agentic platform to develop a modernized application, we can support that. So it writes a project file, writes the instruction files, all the markdowns, and whatever it needs that the agentic platform can then start to modernize your code. That's in a nutshell. I'm not going to do a live demo. I have to come to the conference for that, but here's Evolve IT dashboard. It gives you a lot of statistics around what's in your application by types of language, types of functions, and all the interfaces and all the things you have to consider during a modernization are all here kind of at your fingertips in Evolve IT, and just showing the agentic development flow that, again, we load up Plex and 2E using model APIs we've developed, and they go into Evolve IT, and then you have an intermediate model, okay, that then you can generate whatever you want to. That's an API layer. You can generate that, or you want to generate documentation, or maybe you want to generate a full replacement for something. Uses a friendly name mapping system and AI, of course, and then you have a VS Code project out the end that you can then move forward in. And just show a little bit about this. So you have direct access to your tables that are out there, as well as the functions that don't have screens can be also transformed and called directly. Just showing a little bit of that. Again, come to the conference, you'll see quite a bit of this if you wish. And we believe the code that's generated is very good. And anyway, can be taken forward. Example of the UX transformation. And then we also have a QA process that's built in that helps you with testing. You got to test, right? No matter how much the AI says it's perfect, you still have to test it if you're smart. So we can do things like script the 5250 application that you have, or your Plex legacy UX, wherever that is, get an as baseline, and then automatically, when you've transformed it to be a comparison, making sure that all the values on the screens are as they were before. And if you're staying on DB2, you can also check the before and after images of the journals and make sure that from a database perspective, everything is exactly as it should be in the tables. The as is and the to be produce the same results functionally. Yeah, I think that was what I had for a brief introduction, and happy to answer any questions at the end of the webinar. That's all I have for that. Who's next up?
Next up will be ANI.
Yeah.
Solutions.
So, yeah, I figure I'd kick it off real quick before I turn it over to Casey. JP Gallo over at ANI Solutions. We've been partnering with CM First for a decade or so now. So, met many of you at the previous Plex conferences, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody again here in August in Nashville. Sounds like a very exciting agenda being spun up by the team at CM First. So thank you guys. So yeah, today we're going to talk to you about Scout. It's our AWS hosted application. Specifically going to dive into Modernize It, which is part of the Agentic transformation platform on Scout. There's some other components to Scout, which Casey will close with here. Basically we're here to talk specifically about Modernize It, our AI guided platform for legacy application modernization. Casey Hawes is our AWS Scout Alliance leader. So he can give you a little background here on what we're doing and collaborating with CM First around their Evolve IT and see how we can help customers around those transformations. So with no further ado, I'll give you Casey.
All right, thanks for the introduction, JP. Hello, everybody. I think I need permission to share my screen if that's possible. There we go.
Should have it now.
Perfect, thanks. Can everybody see that okay? All right,
Good.
Modernize It, as JP was saying, Modernize It is our agentic transformation process platform within our full platform, Scout. So Scout itself is an agentic transformation event intelligence system. Within it, we have several platforms, one being a agentic transformation process. So Modernize It's goal is to help guide companies through legacy application modernization. Teams, I'm sure we've all experienced this, waste months trying to manually go in and map systems that they have little understanding of. Modernize It automates that discovery process. It generates documentation, and it helps to keep humans in the loop so that you can modernize your legacy applications, your iSeries, with less time and less risk. So what it does is it ingests the source code. It turns it into structured, understandable insights. So it gives you inventory, it gives you relationships, system maps. It helps with architecture, documentation. It gives you a readable summary of what those files contain. It also provides a guided workflow. It gives you an analysis, documentation, and it breaks down what's there and the best way to convert it. It's built for complex portfolios, so this isn't meant to just be something that's superficial. It's meant to do the hard, laborious part of the process. Core capabilities. We recently had an engagement with a customer that was trying to update their iSeries application. They had multiple complex codes and file types. We spent the better part of 3 to 4 months trying to decipher what those file types were, get them ready to be upgraded and converted. Modernize It is able to take that and cut that time down drastically. So you upload once, it generates an inventory, it helps show you the relationships within that inventory, and it gives you system insights automatically. It takes the code and puts it into, it gives you the documentation for it, it puts it in plain language, it helps decode all of the difficult parts that you're trying to decipher as a human. It also allows you to visualize the system. It gives you the data flows, it shows you interactions, it gives you graphs, clusters, everything you need to understand exactly what's happening within that application. Not only does it help document and give you the discovery part of the process, it also implements the code changes. So for instance, it can take COBOL code and convert it into Java and go ahead and implement that for you as a change. It applies AI scale and produces usable artifacts, not just reports. So solution architects, engineers, they can take this and actually implement without just having basically a summary or notes to work off of. So why does it matter? Why is this helpful? One, it helps reduce risk. It gives full visibility into those legacy systems before anyone makes changes. These are big changes to make. You don't want things going wrong. You want to make sure that once the changes are made, everything's going to keep running smoothly. This helps to make sure that that happens. It accelerates modernization. It eliminates, like I was saying with that engagement we had recently, 4 months just trying to get the discovery phase completed. This eliminates a lot of the manual analysis and documentation bottlenecks that slow engagements and upgrades down. Helps improve decision making. It gives you clear insights into any dependencies, data usage, architecture, anything that could impede the process. When everyone is able to understand what's happening, understand the process, it enables team alignment, helps everybody work together, including those doing the work and the stakeholders involved. And it turns insights into action. So as I said, the outputs are usable. It can actually convert the source code, doesn't just produce reports. So as JP mentioned earlier, Modernize It is just one piece of Scout. It's part of that agentic transformation platform. It's one of over 17 processes that are governed by our highly skilled and highly governed agentic. We think of them as employees, but they are agents that work within our platform. It assesses agentic readiness across an entire company, provides a clear pathway for enterprises to transform and see where they can best leverage autonomous workforces. It identifies high impact areas, helps with agentic deployment, and gives you real ROI on your. We also have an event intelligence system. Our core for Scout that we started with was for network and monitoring observability. It allows you to replace fragmented monitoring tools and gives you the ability to have proactive responses before you start having to be reactive with alerts. It produces operations insights. It gives you agentic workforce, and it also provides RPI, which are our patented reliability path index score. It's essentially a health score, let you know how your applications, your locations, and your services are performing at any given time. Our final platform within Scout is the agentic management platform. So if you've gone through the transformation platform, you know where you want to start leveraging agents, where they're going to be the most impact to you. Our management platform helps to design those agents, deploy them, and govern them across a full business unit. Built on AWS, as JP said, fully governed, fully scalable, and ready to work for you.
Great. Thanks, Casey. So yeah, obviously we have a few months leading up to getting together in Nashville. So if there's something that you'd like to see more from Scout or a demo, regardless, whether it's Modernize It, centered around monitoring, the reliability scoring, or even those agentic agents, just reach out to CM First, Mark O'Brien, Roger Jit, myself, and we'll make sure that we get something together leading into Nashville. So thank you, everybody, for the time today.
Terrific, JP. Thank you very much, and you and Connie, for that nice presentation. And next up, we've got Lightning Talk number 3, which is going to be Stuart Millington of Midrange Dynamics. And Stuart, you now have the controls to present. I can see your slides.
Turn the microphone. Okay. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Microphone is loud and clear.
And you can see my slides. Okay. All right, cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Stuart Milligan. I'm a solutions architect at Midrange Dynamics. The main focus of our business since 1998 has been around the change management, if you like, more recently, the last sort of decade, moving into DevOps, and we are seen as generally the industry leader in this space to handle DevOps and change control in the full cycle and flow of DevOps and around the IBMI platform. The bits that I'm going to focus a bit on today, it's obviously a very broad subject, but the bit that I'm going to focus on is about Git, because Git is such a hot topic, not just because it's cool or other development environments use it, and it is a mainstream technology stack that people use for developing, but also because it actually is a very, very important aspect in a way that you can really modernize your development processes. And that will be applicable whether you're using 2E, pure code, 2E and pure code, and or modernizing into other environments. So we have customers that scope and span that entire set of user requirements, if you like, all the way through to pure cross-platform code. The problem with Git in the first instance is, from an IBMI perspective, is that it wasn't built for IBMI. It doesn't handle things like traditional data, physical and logical files, SQL entities, the ILE, OPM concepts, message display printer files, job management authorities. And so that becomes a problem if you want to fully exploit Git as a development methodology or a component in the way that you can exploit the Git tools. Another critical component is that people don't realize is Git actually enables AI and IBMI, notwithstanding what JP and Casey have been talking about now. But in terms of actually using AI, for example, in your IDE, with Surfboard, VS Code, Cursor, Bob, Git will enable that, because Git will do is it enables you to use a workspace or a repository and apply AI engines across that. So in general, enabling Git in your development environment means that you will have much quicker and more rapid access to AI functionality, which everybody is beginning to really exploit effectively. The important aspect of it is that you'll get deeper scope of analysis of your code on an ongoing basis. If you have a what I would call a real-time live Git environment, which is what MD Change, our technology stack, provides, it means that you have always got a Git repo which is up to date with the latest set of code, and therefore the AI scanning, searching, modernization, documentation, whatever it might be, can be enabled in that way. As such, it will actually help reduce hallucination and drift so that you're constantly updating, and any agentic requests and functions that use AI algorithms and AI models to generate code, document code, understand code, give you impact analysis will actually be much more accurate because it's done in real time against a repository which is always up to date. AI can't actually parse source and PFs out the box, and so you have to put something in the middle that is going to make that possible. And any delay or middleware or any middle-based process is actually always going to slow down both accuracy and the real-time aspect of what it is that you're doing. Also, from a user point of view, multiple user synchronicity is if we've got big development teams working on applications that are all integrated, it can be very difficult. So having a Git-based process which handles that with intelligent branching and test environments that support those branches makes it much easier and more effective to deploy the Git paradigm. Just a bit about a trend. What was quite interesting is that MD Change has approximately, as of the end of 2025, we've had a huge uptake in the last couple of years, but we reached 100,000 users and on IBMI and around the IBMI platform using MD Change. And literally in the last 3 to 4 months, we've seen a huge uptake and an acceleration towards using Git. Primarily, and this is a real statement that any of our customers, new and old, will back up, because of the way that we can handle Git, because of the fact that we can make it seamless and simple and much easier, and you can actually choose whatever IDE it is that you want to use in this context. It means that everybody is jumping on board and exploiting the functionality and the features that Git does provide. In a broader DevOps context, a very busy picture this, but DevOps and building and deploying and implementing and installing complex applications on and around the IBMI platform on a distributed environment is not simple. We have a completely integrated system that enables you to use the tools that are requisite on the platform, off the platform, and around the platform, and always keep things up to date and automating in a structured, template-based, configurable way everything that occurs between the different environments. So any developer, any stakeholder, any manager, any change controller, any user would have access to what is going on at any one time, and all of the automation takes place behind the scenes so that it makes the entire process seamless and real time. If we talk about the Git problem specifically on IBMI and how we solve certain aspects of it, overlapping sort of not just the problem, but the actual way that it's solved, is that if you want to use Git, and this applies across the board, in fact, actually not just with Git, but you have to set up manual test environments. So if you create a branch in Git, you then have to create manual test environments if you want to fully exploit the Git flow, because the point of Git is that it creates an environment which is just the components you need, and then it will use according to that. But if your environment is not in sync with Git, it means that you have to set up a test environment. We solve that problem by creating automated test environments from automated branches. So you can create branches in Git. It automatically gets an environment on the IBMI or the other platforms, whatever it is that you're using. And we actually create automated test environments, including the data if you want to do that, with desensitized data control as well. It's very difficult in a multiple repository environment. If you've got, say, 5, 10, 15, 25 million lines of hand-coded or generated code, or a combination of both, it can be incredibly difficult to export, encode, and have multiple repositories. You don't want a Git repository that's got 25 million lines of code. Every time you do something, you've then actually got to check the diffs. It just takes forever to do it. And so we handle that by having multiple threaded processes and enable you to cleverly break up your monolithic code bases into multiple repositories if you want to, but still keep them in a single environment. So if you've got a big 2E generated application, for example, with hand-coded code on the side of it, we can handle all of that and have multiple Git environments that automatically synchronize back to your single environment that exists on the IBMI. You also got repository bottlenecks. Imagine if you've got 1,000 developers or 50 developers or even 10 developers, and they're constantly making changes and they're checking out and checking in things. With a huge repository, that's going to be a problem. And so the Git operations themselves actually can block development. And if you look at some of our competitors like Arcad, for example, we've had customers that have just literally jumped on board with us because of the fact that their move to Git has been so painful because of the fact that they have these huge repository bottlenecks. We solve that by doing processing and enable an entire thread mechanism that stops those bottlenecks occurring. Also, as I mentioned earlier on, if you don't have real-time aspects or vision of exactly what the code base is, you're going to end up with drifts. So the synchronization between what's deployed, what you're developing, what's in testing can become a serious problem. Integration pain, switching between Jira, Azure, DevOps, ServiceNow manually, and making sure that all the stakeholders are up to date with tasks, projects, etc., can be a real problem. And you end up spending most of your time poring over spreadsheets, whereby you're trying to synchronize everything. MDChange solves that problem so that you can fully exploit the Git branch environment, multiple branches, multiple threaded development going on, and you don't have to actually integrate any of the task management aspects of it as well. Also, from the point of view of high-risk deployments, you don't want to do if there's one massive repository that you have to deploy every single time, which is kind of a little bit of the Git philosophy. If you can break it up into smaller components and actually have a component-based deployment strategy, which is what we do with MDChange, it means you dramatically reduce the risk of the deployment aspects. So if we look about the MDChange DevOps solution itself, 13 major features that address every pain point that Git brings to the IBMI, even though it solves many other problems. It's 100% automated. So from branch to deployment, you've got automation techniques that are configurable, that can be driven by quality gates, manual overrides, notifications, rapid deployments, rollback at a very granular level. So that you end up with zero risk, and you can automate granular rollbacks if you need. So if there's any problems along the way, you're guaranteed that you're not going to break your deployment environment, just improving quality. Another key aspect that people like about Git is the fact that branches enable you to put a very focused development scope on what it is that you're doing. The way that we handle branch creation in terms of what code it generates, where it compiles to, and what test environments it sets is something that really makes MDChange's DevOps process very powerful for IBMI Git users. So whether you're generating code out of 2E, and we have a 2E integration and interface as well, so that you can actually manage your model as well as the generated code and any hand-coded code, and you can do all of it simultaneously, including stuff that's not even on the IBMI, and so that you have a single visible version of the truth at any one time. And the branch creation aspect of it is also automated. So when you create a branch in Git on the basis of a Jira issue or a ServiceNow issue or Azure task, for example, what it will do is or work item, it will actually go away and create the branches automatically for you if you need to, and synchronize back to the Git repository. So that from a user perspective, depending on what type of user you are, whether you're an IBMI developer, a 2E developer, an RPG developer, a change manager, deployment manager, an ops support person, it means that you can actually see and understand exactly what's going on without the need to intervene manually as necessary, but you can override everything that you need. From the source management aspect itself, we have a number of different tools that we've developed over a 15 to 20 year period that have really come to bear now on it, making it very easy to export to Git. So that can happen very quickly. With the various VS Code, Cursor, Bob, etc., IDE environments. The normalized line endings, which is a requirement from Git. So all of this happens behind the scenes. So all of these technology problems that can cause issues when you want to build, deploy, compile, will all be resolved automatically behind the scenes. And it means that you can then have very flexible strategies. You can commit incrementally as you work. You don't have to do big commits at the end of an issue. You can do it daily if you need to. It keeps your workspace and origin repos and centralized repos all in sync for you, so that you're never falling behind or having this drift problem, which is a real problem on the Git with using Git on the IBMI. It automatically compares with Origin all the time, so you're always given warnings if anything is going to occur. But you can also handle bulk commits. So at the end of the day, if you decide, look, I just want to do small local commits in my workspace, and at the end of the day, I just wanted to handle all that for me, and vice versa, pulling out from any changes that happen in the centralized repo because of deployments and pushes to Origin, it will do all of that for you. So it means that you choose the workflow and that you manage it in the way that is most suitable to you, whether you've got a mix of developers, all IBMI developers, 2E developers, or a mix of all three.
Stuart, we have a real fast thing. Can you wrap this up shortly?
Sure.
Because we still have one more lightning talk to go. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So just to make a last point, if you want to look at handling Git on the IBMI in the most sophisticated and powerful way that will really unlock these options, please visit our site or get a hold of the guys, CM First, and they'll be happy to talk you through and actually set up a demo for you. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Stuart. Great. Our last talk, and certainly not least, is going to be with Dmitry Kuzmatskov, the Chief Officer for AI. Thank you, Dmitry. The floor is yours. You're the leader. Thank
Absolutely.
you. See your screen.
Hey guys, so my name is Dmitry Kuznetsov. Friends call me Dima. I'm Chief Product Officer here at Programmers.ai. And today we just have 10 minutes left. We'll talk about real-time data capture. Right? Everybody talks about AI. AI is an important topic lately for many aspects. It accelerates modernization. It has additional operational efficiency and to complain about, right? Between us IT professionals, as the technology emerges really fast. One thing that we know for sure is that even though the standards are still being developed, the guardrails and approaches are still being developed, we know that for efficient AI operations, AI needs fresh data. No question about that, right? And there is no magic to it either, right? It's something that we dealt with since the beginning of IT era or computers era, connecting all these different systems together. And that's what we'll demonstrate on this session, how to take your data from core backend systems of record running on IBMI and surface them in analytical and operational data stores, make it available for AI. So that is one of the prerequisites for companies' AI readiness. And hopefully it's going to be entertaining for you guys. Here on this screen, let me see if I can show the screen. We have an example of ERP system that a nice color schema, green on black. We all know that and love, most of us. Let's imagine that order information needs to be synchronized in real time to our cloud database. In this case, it's MySQL running on AWS in the cloud in their RDS service. So as you can see, the last status is shipped here, and it's shipped here, so it's synchronized. Let me change it to invoiced. And the moment I press enter and refresh, if everything goes well, look at that magic, invoiced. So what happened is it worked in real time, captured that change on IBMI and it to cloud database. Now, the best part of that is, in this case, there is zero coding required for this type of interaction. Let me walk through this with IBMI. We developed a tool, Info CDC, for lack of creativity. That's of my company, InfoView Systems, that was acquired by Programmers.io back in 2024. And the table is the headers that I want to turn on replication for. So I add that table to the tool. It recognizes a bunch of automatically unique constraints if there are ones, the types and lengths of the columns. And from that point on, it generates automatically the file that is the format of that table and the data queue for the changes available to their systems. And here I can select specific columns if I don't want to send everything. I can also add additional filtering criteria to reduce the amount of chatter. And that's pretty much it. Once I turn it on, every change applied to this table, as long as it's journal, will be captured in real time, placed to a data queue. Now, the second part is obviously picking that change and applying it to the target system, and that's where there are several options. Traditionally, companies use middleware platforms such as Kafka, Apache Kafka, Confluent, or similar to process these massive event streams, or orchestrate these integrations with platforms like MuleSoft. For customers that don't have any middleware or prefer to have simplified version, we developed what we call InfoConnect Hub. And really it just supports 3 operations. You define your connections here, and for each connection, you can define a data flow that takes the data from, in this case, CDC change events and publishes it to this database. And it supports a bunch of targets. It could be any JDBC compliant data platform. It could be Kafka, Azure, AWS, or GCP message brokers. And we're adding more targets as we speak. And once you turn this on, it's working. Again, it's just a configuration, set it and forget it. And a combination of Hub data flow and Info CDC gives you that direct IBMI to target database or to Kafka or other platform data flow. Nice and easy. And just to get back to companies' capability, obviously, beside doing this, we also offer a lot of integration solutions and services, anything ranging from selecting middleware platforms, implementing and supporting them. And of course, as the talk here is about modernizing or migrating core IBMI systems of record, in many cases, it's a piece-by-piece migration. The moment you take a piece out of your old system and move it to the new platform, all these implicit links become real-time integration needs. And that's where help companies succeed. We see that input strategy is one of the might not too much attention and then pay dearly for that. And we help avoid this and a bit of a structure into this already messy process of modernizing these systems. And that is all I have.
Thank you very much, Dmitry. Yeah, it's really well thought out, and then the demo worked. That was the most amazing part of your presentation.
That's right.
We just have a very short period of time here in the talk questions that came in, John, was how well does Evolve IT or Scout handle old languages and variations of different like RP2 or Ancient Query 400 or things of that nature.
Who was the question for?
Oh, John, I think you could handle this about Evolve IT, handling old languages or variants.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
RP2.
Yeah. We're strongest in COBOL. We can handle virtually any flavor of COBOL, but especially for the IBM I and IBM Z. So very there. Other languages like CL, we've developed different degrees of support. CL is pretty strong. E is something we can support, and we do have a lot of old code. Talked to a lot of folks here at Common this week that had System 36, RPG 2, stuff like that. So it is something we have to develop a custom parser for, but with using AI, we can really shorten the time to do that and and support those old languages.
Okay, great. There's another one about another question about the roadmap for Plex. What do you think about releasing Java from version 1.8 to the latest LTS compatibility in Plex, for example, like Plex 3.3? And then the second follow-on question: would this affect the web client in the meantime?
That's a great question. I know we do support versions of things, but we would need to know specifics. So if we can send a support request in to cmfirstgroup.com or info@cmfirstgroup.com, or just add some technical details on that, how you would upgrade and what is supported. But the latest Java versions are supported within web client. And I think also within Plex, I'm not sure what patch level you have to be on for Plex, but we can help with that. I'll get the specifics of your situation.
And John, I was going to say with Scout, we could really collaborate those legacy and together to try to solve that. So just let me know, let us know the details on that one as well.
Great.
Well, and really good, insightful questions. And I want you them in the meantime, and then plan on doing something in Nashville to extend these things out and get further down the road in terms of integrating these things. So that's what we have this quarter. I want to thank everybody, and the ability to buy tickets and make hotel reservations is now live and so forth for everybody. So we look forward to seeing you, and we'll be on the next call and probably in the late July timeframe as well too. Okay. Thank you very much for attending the podcast, and thank you all for your kind attention and patience.
Thank you.
Thanks.